Today I want to talk to you about when you're not really feeling it in your business. So I was sick last week just with a cold, nothing too major, thank goodness. But what it reminded me was that it's really easy for something small to happen to us, particularly health wise, and it can throw our business off track quite considerably. So last week I was frustrated with the fact that I didn't feel well. I was frustrated that I couldn't get through everything that I wanted to. I was frustrated that I was feeling like I was getting behind. And as a result of all of those things, I was getting really frustrated because I know then obviously cash flow is going to be affected if I can't do the things I need to do each and every week. What I also knew was that things will be okay because I have profit first set up in my business. That I will be able to see where the dips are coming as the next few weeks and months happen because I run a cash flow management tool in my system so I can see where the gaps are. And I knew that eventually I would get over my cold. Again, I was very grateful that it wasn't anything more major health wise. And it was just a cold, but it did knock me about for pretty much the week. So, what I really realized in this last week was three main things. Now, these are what I realized for myself in business. So, some of them may be relevant, some of them may be not relevant at all, but I'd love you to have a think about what helps you get out of that feeling in your business where things are not feeling very fun at all. Now, for those of you who have listened and been following me long enough, you know I always talk about, for me, my one rule in business is I must be having fun. If I'm not having fun, I have to find the reason why and I have to do something about it. And since I've been really strict on that, and strict with myself, business has been so much better. Now, is it perfect all the time? Of course not. But having that rule in place for myself helps get me out of these spots where I don't really feel like I can do anything or I can make any difference at different changes in my business, or that business just feels like this is it and it's never going to get any better. So, three things I did, and I've just today, when I'm sat down to write this podcast outline, I was thinking about why today do I feel so much better and so much more enthusiastic about my business than I did, say, a week ago when I was sick. And these are the three things that I came up with. So, firstly, I took time to rest. Resting is not my strong point. I'm not the type of person who goes on a holiday. We always travel, we're always adventurous, we're out and we're doing things. I'm not the type of person to sit on a beach or just relax. Is not a key feature of mine. And again, that is not a good thing. So, what I did, the first thing I did is I gave myself permission to just sit on the lounge last week in the afternoons and nights and not do much. What I did do is I watched the Beckham series on Netflix. Now, whether you like sport or not, for me, I love sport of any shape and kind, particularly motorsport. I played soccer myself when I was a kid and into my teenage years. My son and my daughter have both played soccer. My son's currently soccer mad. So it was just topical and something that had just come out. So I watched that. And one thing I realized that sitting down and doing nothing isn't a bad thing, because I was sitting there watching a series that was all about sport, all about teamwork, all about leadership, all about the trials and tribulations and how things can go well and how they can go bad. And it was just a really motivating series, I found. And so whilst I was sitting there doing nothing, I was also then getting some motivation to help me get back on track. And whether you like David Beckham or not, his story is incredible. It wasn't just all handed to him on a plate. There was lots of ups and downs along the way. The second thing I did over the weekend, again, as I said, I'm a mad motorsport fan, so Bathurst was on. I had that on the TV all day Saturday, just as I was doing things around the house, and then I sat and watched the race for the most part on Sunday. Again, sitting down and resting while still watching something that I find really motivating. Again, anyone who's a Bathurst fan knows that the mountain really chooses the winner. And there's so many things that can go wrong in that race, and it was 6 hours and 2 minutes, I think, this time. So lots of ups, lots and downs, lots of teamwork, lots of luck, and so on and so forth. So again, what I realized was I really get a lot of energy and excitement and motivation from watching those types of motorsports. And then thirdly, the other thing that I realized, again, Formula One is my favorite motorsport of all time. And if anyone has watched the Formula One, I'm a mad Ricciardo fan. So wasn't too impressed when the other Aussie, Piastri, came in and took his seat at McLaren, even though things look to have worked out now. I was super excited to see Oscar win the Saturday night sprint race, and then also to wake up this morning to see that he'd got on a podium again. So again, just watching and seeing those different teams and see how going from being cranky that Ricciardo lost his seat there to be taken by another Aussie, I didn't feel that was very good. Kind of not the Aussie thing to do. I was also quite disappointed because Mark Webber, another person that I loved and followed whilst he was in F1, is the manager as well. So there's just lots of things in there that again reminded me that business is complicated and we just have to keep going and keep taking the next step, because eventually it will all work out. But if we just sit there and mope like I was doing earlier on in the week when I wasn't feeling very well, absolutely nothing is going to change. All we need to do is just do one little thing. And in business, often we feel like there's this huge thing we have to do. It's going to cost us all this money. For example, I've got so many people who get so much value out of just listening to this podcast or reading and listening to my book. But I've got so many other people who think also, oh, I can't afford to work with Katie just yet, so I'm not going to do anything. And that's not the case. So again, this last week just reminded me that we're going to get sick or something's going to not go to plan. And we have to make sure that we put steps in place to get us out of not really feeling our business. And for me, it's about watching sports shows really and sports events. And so now going forward, I will make sure that when things aren't kind of going to plan, I'm going to jump on Netflix and I'm going to find something, or I'm going to watch reruns of Formula One races, or I'm going to do something that I know will be an example to me of how teamwork, how there's ups and downs, how we can just keep on moving one little step at a time. And it's never ever as bad as it seems to be for us. So as I said, if this is you, if you feel like, if you've been sick or you've had sick family members or you've had sick teammates and you haven't had enough staff to run things smoothly, or business isn't quite going to plan, just remember you just have to take one step. You just have to take the next step. You don't have to climb the entire mountain. You just have to take one step. So that might be listening to another one of my podcasts. It might be sending me an email and letting me know what's going on in your business and say, hey, how can you help? I have people do that all the time, and I love getting those emails because I can always share with you some resources, just that little next step for you to take to help move you out of wherever it is that you are. So if that's you, if business is not feeling super fun at the moment, then send me an email, katie@profitfirstfortradies.com.au. Let me know what's going on, and I can certainly point you in the right direction. Now, we are getting towards the end of the year. As tradies, I know that all of a sudden everybody has to be done by Christmas deadline for you, and things can start to get a little bit hectic. But what I want to warn you is that this is not the time to drop the ball on your numbers, because the most inquiries and the most emails I get comes January, February, March, April next year, where people have worked their butts off at the end of the year, done all this work, but then haven't got paid, or that you've got slow payers, or you've overspent and the money hasn't come in quick enough and you've got a cash flow crunch coming early next year. So I can't encourage you enough as to, now is the time to start working on your cash flow. Now is the time to start putting profit first in place in your business. Remember, you don't have to put everything in place all at once. It can just be 1 or 2 steps that are absolutely going to make a difference for you come early next year. Now, I'm happy to help everyone early next year. What I would prefer is to start helping you now. So please reach out, send me an email, katie@profitfirstfortradies.com.au, and just let me know how you're going, where you're at, what you think you need help with. If you've got no idea, tell me you've got no idea, and I'll either ask you some more questions or I'll point you in the right direction.